The Flash. Biography. J. Garrick, husband of Joan Williams Garrick. Residence, Keystone City. Occupation, scientist, retired. First appearance, Golden Age, Flash Comics, Issue 1, January 1940. First appearance, Silver Age, The Flash, Volume 1, Issue 123, September 1961. Joined JSA, founding member. Pre-Crisis Fate, active until Crisis. Post-Crisis Fate, still active. Origin. J. Garrick was born in 1918. Little is known of his early life until he became a science major at Midwestern University. In those days, Garrick was a subpar member of the university football team and attracted to Joan Williams, the daughter of a United States Army major. Williams snubbed Garrick for the football team captain, rejecting Garrick as a scrub. Though somewhat untalented at football, Garrick excelled in science. He worked with one of his mentors, Professor Hughes, led to new insights about the nature of hard water. One night in a late experiment, Garrick paused to indulge his smoking habit around 3 a.m. Lighting the cigarette, Garrick knocked over some of the hard water, spilling it and several other chemicals. Garrick was overcome by the fumes and lay unconscious in a laboratory for hours until Hughes arrived to check his progress the next morning. Garrick was rushed to a local hospital and lay in a coma for weeks. When he regained consciousness, one of the doctors confided to Hughes that Garrick's test results were highly unusual, indicative of an extremely accelerated metabolism. When Garrick was released, he immediately discovered that he had the speed much more than a normal man, and he caught Joan Garrick getting on the bus in the blink of an eye. Over the next few days, J. Garrick explored his powers, participating in a college football game which he won by using just a bit of his accelerated powers. As time passed, Garrick graduated Midwestern and moved on. Joan Williams joined her father in Washington, and the two parted ways. Garrick landed a job as an assistant professor at Coleman University in New York. After reading news of the fledgling mystery men, he was inspired to create a custom identity of his own, the Flash, to battle crime. A few weeks later, Joan Williams visited from Washington with dire news. Her father had been kidnapped by a gang of criminals known as the Faultless Four. Joan appealed to Garrick to rescue her father in the appearance of the Flash. As she explained, an assassin fired a gun from a passing car at her. Garrick stopped the bullet and agreed to help as the Flash. When the assassin returned, disguised as an undertaker to verify Williams' death, Garrick followed him as the Flash. Doing so led him to follow the assassin, a member of the Faultless Four, to the group's hideout. There the Flash rescued Major Williams and returned him to his home. Afterward, the Flash returned to the Faultless Four's hideout and learned of the Four's intention to create a distraction at Coney Island to cover a second attempt on the Williamses. The next day, the Flash thwarted the attempt at Coney Island and then returned to the Faultless Four in their hideaway. As he confronted them, Seer Satan, the leader of the Four, threw a switch and electrocuted the other three members of the Four in an attempt to slay the Flash. The hero, however, had followed Satan as he slipped out to throw the switch, and pursued Seer Satan as he fled. Ultimately, the Flash drove Satan's car from the road, seemingly killing him. Flash Comics, Issue 1. Afterward, Garrick and Joan Williams became a steady couple, and she often covered for him as the Flash. Unlike many heroes at the start of their careers, the Flash was openly accepted by the Keystone Police and deputized as a police detective in the summer of 1940. All-Star Comics, Volume 1, Issue 1. In late 1940, Flash was selected by United States intelligence to join Batman and Green Lantern on an undercover operation in England, an act which resulted in their capture by Nazi forces and transported to Berlin. The three were later rescued by Dr. Fate and Hourman and joined the pursuit of Hitler's Valkyries across the ocean. The defeat of the Valkyries led to the formation of the Justice Society of America, of which Flash was a charter member. DC Special, Issue 29. He left the JSA in 1941 and was semi-active for the rest of the war. All-Star Comics, Issue 6. The Flash also became a regular member of the All-Star Squadron after its formation, All-Star Squadron Issue 3. The Flash participated in the JSA's pursuit of Ian Karkull in late 1941, a case in which he again encountered Sirius Satan, who had not been killed in 1940. As Karkull died, Garrick and Joan Williams were exposed to the radiation, which added years and vitality to the rest of their lives. All-Star Squadron Annual Issue 3. In addition to his activities as a superhero, Jay Garrick also participated in a series of social gatherings held by the Keystone City Liars Club, Flash Comics Issue 44. The Liars Club was an organization dedicated to honing the ability of telling tall tales. Many contests in the Liars Club were won by Garrick for simply reciting his adventures as the Flash. All-Star Flash Issues 18 and 30, Comic Cavalcade Issues 9, 13, and 19. In 1942, the Flash battled a villain at the power of darkness at his command. The Shade, an immortal whose real name has never been revealed, used the cane endowed with the power of Erebus to rob Keystone under a veil of impenetrable night. Flash Comics Issue 35. Later that year, he tangled with Peter Merkel, a small-time thief who used his naturally triple-jointed limbs to facilitate his robberies as the Ragdoll. Flash Comics Issue 36. In 1943, Keystone City District Attorney Clifford DeVoe masterminded a series of crimes while using his position and intellect to overcome legal obstacles afterward, a practice that earned him the name of the Thinker. All Flash Issue 12. Each of these criminals became recurrent foes for the Flash throughout his career. In 1945, the Flash rejoined the JSA full-time. All-Star Comics Issue 25. Jay Garrick became an independent researcher in Keystone City and was married to Joan Williams. In 1947, the Flash encountered two more significant adversaries, the Star Sapphire and the Fiddler. The Star Sapphire claimed to be an alien princess from a temporarily displaced planet of which she was the sole inhabitant. She attempted to revive life of her world by sapping the oxygen out of Earth and transferring it to her own planet. All Flash Issue 32. The Fiddler was really Isaac Bowen, a petty thief who had learned the secret hypnotic music while in an Indian prison. In his first encounter with the Flash, he used the serendipitous concert by his twin brother to confuse the Flash. All Flash Issue 32. He was later defeated but returned to battle the Flash later that year. Flash Comics Issue 93. Another important adversary was Rose Canton, also known as the Thorn. Canton was a classic schizophrenic, a split personality. The Rose part of her character was a gentle assistant to Professor Hollis, a botanist on Tashimi Island. While there, Rose developed her second personality, the Thorn. The Thorn despised the insipid Rose and murdered her beloved mentor. She then traveled to Keystone City and engaged the Flash on 2 occasions, eluding capture each time by slipping back into her Rose persona. Flash Comics Issues 89 and 96. In their third encounter, she again became Rose, but the Flash had determined her secret. Contacting Green Lantern and Wonder Woman, he arranged for Rose to be treated by Amazonian psychotherapists on Transformation Island. Rose, however, had become infatuated with Green Lantern and returned to him many years later. Lois Lane Issue 113, Infinity Incorporated Annual Issue 1. In 1948, the newlyweds Jay and Joan Garrick took up residence in the suburbs of Keystone City. The Garricks had no children of their own, but briefly adopted a son who died of pneumonia, revealed in JSA Issue 25. The Flash retired as that city's resident superhero, ceding that role to the Spider. When the Spider was revealed as corrupt, the Flash returned to active duty. The Shade Issue 3. The Flash was an active member of the Justice Society during its last case and was present at the HUAC meetings in 1951. He declined to reveal his identity during those meetings and retired along with the rest of his fellow JSA members.